So it's getting close to the end of the year, and I figured it's about time we start making our double XL freshman predictions. So here is my 2021 freshman prediction list. Now, keep in mind, I realize that some of these artists realistically don't have much of a chance of making it, but what I try to do is have kind of a mix of super big stars as well as some more underground artists, because that's kind of the direction Double XL is going. They'll kind of have a few stars, a few rappers that are on the brink of blowing up, a couple completely unknown, and then a few that are objectively too big for Double XL. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this. Now, first I have the Kid Leroy. Now, I honestly don't know if he'll be on the list. I feel like he'd be one of the artists to turn it down, or kind of go, well, I'm more of a rock star than a rapper kind of situation and turn it down. And personally, I'm not a huge fan of his music. It doesn't sound bad or anything. I'm just not really that big of a fan of him. And I've heard something that was saying that he's already turned down the list. So I don't know. He would definitely be one of the bigger stars on the list if he were to make it. So yeah. And next up we have Lil Got It, and this is just keeping up the trend of having clone or product artists on the list, because in 2019 we had Gunna, who is a product of Young Thug and to a certain extent is a clone of Young Thug. And then 2020 we had Lil Keed, who's essentially a carbon copy of Young Thug. And if they're going to keep going with this trend, 2021 we could have Lil Got It. He's another Young Thug clone who's been building a name for himself. He's been, slowly building himself up over the last couple years, so it's very plausible we could see him making the cover. Now, next up, we have Cochise. And keeping the trend of clones, Cochise is a Playboi Carti clone. Now, in my top 10 worst rappers video, I had Playboi Carti in that video, and I am planned on redoing that list because I don't know, but about a month ago, I just started listening to Carti's music, and it just clicked, and I started enjoying Playboi Carti's music. And I'm also, what I have heard from Cochise, I really like what he's doing. He's had his breakout hit this year, Hatchback. He's been consistently dropping singles all year. All of them sound pretty solid. And while he is a clone of Playboi Carti, he does add his own elements. He has the baby voice and excessive ad-libs of Playboi Carti, but with a less minimalistic flow, and definitely does stand out more than just being a direct copy. And I think it would be dope to see him on the 2021 list. Oh, regardless, I feel like 2021 is going to be a pretty big year for Cochise, especially since Playboi Carti hasn't been dropping much music. It's only natural that other artists start adapting that sound and filling in the gaps. And that's exactly what Cochise has been doing. Speaking of filling in the gaps, next we have Mario Judah. And if you don't know who Mario Judah is right now, you've probably been living under a rock. He is one of the most viral rappers right now. He blew up earlier this year with his song Die Very Rough. And his own style is a mix of rap and rock. And while that in itself isn't original, he does have a pretty unique approach by doing this aggressive hard rock singing over these trap beats. But recently, the last couple weeks, he's been threatening Playboi Carti, saying if he wouldn't drop his Whole Lotta Red album, he would do it for him. And he started to drop Playboi Carti music, like music that sounds identical to Playboi Carti's music, and it's been very successful so far. He uploaded a music video that he later deleted, and within the first day it got over 1 million views, and he's getting a lot of viral attention from this, so yeah. I feel like Mario Judah could very well be on the next year's freshman cover. And also be interesting to hear him go into a cypher with his hard rock singing, because I hope he sticks to that sound more, because that's a much more original sound than just copying Playboi Carti. Now, next up, we have a much more unknown artist, that is rescost Grizz. Now, he did have one fairly big single this year titled Water. I think right now it's sitting at a little over 3 million views on YouTube. And he is a very unique artist in the fact of his background. Now, he is a Native American, and in some of his songs, he has kind of shed light on the struggles of the reservation life, which, with a lot of rappers, you hear about their struggles in the hood, and rescost grizz is kind of shining light on the struggles of the reservation life, which is arguably worse than living in the hood for those who don't. A lot of people don't even know they still have Indian reservations, and in America, Indian reservations are borderline third world countries, and he gives a unique perspective on that struggle, a struggle that not many people are familiar with, and he just makes really dope music in general. I would kind of put him in the same lane as artists like Post Malone or Trippie Redd, and he has done some songs that are like contemporary that I wouldn't even consider rap. So again, he is super underground. Realistically, probably wouldn't be making the list, but it'll be really dope to see him on the list. And he's also has a unique look, kind of stands out. So Double XL always likes to have a couple oddball artists on the list. So who knows? And next up, we got Flo Milli. She had a breakout single last year, I believe. A lot of people thought she was going to be on the 2020 list, and she wasn't. And really seems to be the only female rapper who has a good buzz going for her to be on the freshman list. And I haven't really checked out much of her music, but yeah, she seems to be doing pretty well. Next up, we got my boy Lodarki. Now, I know 100% that Lodarki will probably not be on the freshman list. He is a far too controversial artist and a far too abstract artist. There's a lot of people who just think his music is trash, and I mean, that's subjective. He does have a much more abstract form of rapping, a more abstract form of music that not everyone's going to like. I personally think he makes really dope music, and he's been doing some impressive things for an independent underground rapper. He has several music videos that have millions of views. He has got the attention of Denzel Curry and supposedly has a Denzel Curry collab in the works. He's also made a song with Josiah and also has more unreleased music with Josiah. So he's been doing some pretty impressive things, but he's already been canceled 2 or 3 times on Twitter. A lot of people who don't know who he is or know much about him label him as racist. He has a lot of controversial lyrics, so Double XL always tries to avoid these controversial artists, so it's very unlikely we'd ever see an artist like Lodarki on the list, but he's super dope and I would love to see him on the list. Next up we have Dax, another artist that I know probably won't make the list, um, because a lot of people find him corny, fake deep, and a lot of people just don't like his music. I think most of his music is pretty dope. Now, I will admit some of his one-take freestyles or some of his more light-hearted songs can get a little corny, and the way he acts on Instagram is definitely corny. But when it comes to his more serious music, I think he's a super dope, super talented lyricist, and some of his bars are just insane. And we all know that his cypherverse and freestyle would be absolutely insane. But for the simple fact that there's still a lot of people that are mad about all the scandals surrounding him with scamming other rappers, which has kind of all been let go and put in the past by most people that were involved. Like, I know Crypt, who even dropped a diss track on Dax at one point, they're cool now. So all that's kind of in the past, but a lot of people are still hanging on to that. And there's a lot of people out there who just find him corny. And I mean, he even pitched for the 2020 freshman list, and the like to dislike ratio wasn't all that pretty. Plus, he's a YouTube rapper, which I personally feel like at some point we are going to get a YouTube rapper on the list because more and more are gaining respect as legitimate artists. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before we get a YouTube rapper on the freshman list, but I don't think it'll be someone like Dax. Like I said, I wanted to make the list. I think it'd be super dope to have him on the list, but because of so many people disliking him, I doubt he would be on the list. Next up, we got Tokyo's Revenge. Not much to say about him. Has some pretty fire songs. Had a huge TikTok song. Has a good buzz going for him, so yeah. Next up, we got Josiah. Now, Josiah has had a couple tracks that have gotten a lot of attention, but I think he's just a super dope artist in general. Super versatile artist. Um, he does rapping, screaming, singing, and opera, which I don't think I've seen any other rapper or regular singer attempt to do opera, and he does it very well. Um, and he also produces a lot of his own beats, and is just a really dope artist in general. And he pitched for the 2020 freshman list. He obviously did not make it, and I honestly don't think he would make the 2021 list because some people have said he's a much more niche artist, like in his own little pocket. He doesn't have like huge appeal. You know, no disrespect, but like he appeals to a certain crowd, and outside of that, he doesn't have a whole lot of appeal outside of that little pocket. And I can see that, and it also reflects with how, apart from Crisis and his song with 6ix9ine, none of his other songs have performed all that well, but still think he's a great artist and would love to see him make the list. And then next up we have Lex Bratcher, and I've mentioned her in my last video talking about the female freshman. She's a super unknown underground female rapper, a more lyrical rapper. And the only way I could see her making the list if they're going to do a repeat of last year where they had a more conventional female rapper, then they put Chica on the list to be that more lyrical type female rapper, and she was also very underground when she was on the list. And Lex Bratcher does have a few noticeable collabs, and I would say she is on the cusp of being big enough to get recognition in the rap game. But realistically, I don't think she would make the list, but it'd be super dope to see her, even just see her pitch, get a little bit more recognition because she's a super dope artist, and I would love to see her make the list. And finally, we have Ian Dior. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know, I'm not rocking with Ian Dior. To me, he's just super bland. Like, I'm not a fan of his music at all. I don't know what you guys see in Ian Dior that's so special. To me, he's just super bland. But with 24K Golden making the list last year and Ian Dior having multiple noticeable singles as well as the massive collab with 24K Golden, it is plausible he would be that pop, rock, rap artist on the list for 2021 because I would put him in the same kind of category as 24K Golden, where he has made some rap songs, some songs with rap elements, but falls much more in that pop rock category. So, yeah, and maybe one reason why they wouldn't have wanted him on last year's list is because they had 24K Golden, and they wouldn't want two artists like that on the list. So I feel like he's been in the game long enough, built up enough of a category of music to the point where he could be on the 2021 list. So yeah, that just about wraps up this video. I apologize for the background noise. It's raining right now, and I apologize for the random notifications. I did turn off most of them, but of course, the one time I leave Snapchat on, people decide to start being active when they normally aren't. And I really don't feel like we're recording this, so I apologize for those minor inconveniences. But if you guys like the video, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, check out my own music on YouTube and SoundCloud, all that good stuff. And yeah, peace.